Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this planning working party. To note that this working party has no delegated authority and may only make recommendations to the full council, the full town council. Urgent actions may be taken under delegated authority given to the clerk and myself, the chair. Item 2, apologies for absence. Is there any apologies, Vicky?
None received.
Thank you. Item 3, declarations of pecuniary interest and request for dispensation. Anyone? No. Okay. Item 4, minutes of the previous meeting. To approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 15th of February 2022. Page. Oh, may I have approval of the minutes before we start, please? Can I have a proposer and a seconder, because I presume you've read them. That's Councillor Liz Smith proposed. And can I have a seconder, please, for that? Councillor Tony Brown. Okay, all those in favour, please show. Just assign them for true record. Thank you. Yeah. Favour. Right, matters arising from those minutes. Page 278. Thank you for that. Page 279. Hold on, I'll try and put this so I can see some of you. No. Okay. Page 280. No. Page 290. Sorry, 281. 281. Neutrals there. And page 282. A lot of word in there. Is there any comments at all? No, no one hand up. No. Page 283. That's it. Thank you. Okay, item 6. Item 6. For members of the public to speak on planning matters other than applications before the working party. If you wish to speak, please make yourself known to the clerk before meeting commences. But you don't need to, because we've got the names all on the show. Right. Okay. Is there? I know even item 6 on the agenda. That's 27 Clements Lane, which is Martin. You can speak at this particular time on it as well, just to take note on that. And we as a committee have to make sort of, if we want to make any suggestions to it. So that's what we've done tonight. We've just swapped item 6 and 7 round, if you're reading the agenda. So now we've gone straight to item 7, then we go back to item 6. Okay, is there anyone want to speak on anything at all? Martin?
just in regard the 27 Clements Lane and the planning appeal that's been lodged. I'm struggling to understand the grounds at which the planning appeal has been lodged, given that it appears to be time barred anyway, by virtue of the fact that the original decision was back in April. So that's point one. Point two is that it's been made by the applicant, if you like, who no longer owns the property. So I'm really struggling to understand the points of law that actually is permitting this to happen. Maybe you know more about it than I've been able to ascertain, frankly.
Vicky or Colin, can you help us out here, please?
You don't have to be the owner of a property to seek planning permission on it, although clearly normally that is the case. So I'm not aware of what specifically you think that they shouldn't be able to put an appeal in.
So I suppose what I'm struggling with is the fact that they've actually sold the property to a developer. And as I understand it, only an appeal by the original applicant is permissible. But at the point that the ownership has transferred to another individual, and they are neither the householder nor the agent, as is defined by the planning regulation. I'm just trying to get my head around what permits that to happen. But moreover, if you like, the fact that more than 6 months has elapsed since it was turned down.
Well, you certainly have to find out from West Suffolk how come they allowed that application to appeal if it's gone past the expiry date. I think we have a comment from Councillor Stinchcombe.
Yes, Councillor Stinchcombe.
Thank you,
and
Chair.
Councillor Dave Smith.
Thank you to Councillor Burns for sticking the documents up on his server. I was able to check the date of the receipt of the application, and it was 1 day within 6 months of the April decision by the local planning authority. So it was just in time by 1 day, as far as I could make out. Thank you.
Councillor Dave Smith, and then Councillor Burns.
Yeah, I was going to say that although it doesn't show up as what I'm trying to say is it can take a while for the planning inspectorate to get around to sort of through the caseload to actually deal with the appeal. So although the appeal may have been lodged within 6 months, but it just doesn't show up on the system until a little while later. So basically just echoing what Councillor Stinchcombe said. Yeah, it did confuse me also about the fact that how can you appeal for something that wasn't your original application? That does seem a bit strange. But I think the problem we got really is the fact that the house has been granted demolition under the what's it called, general permitted development order, which is something that's decided by central government, not local government. So one of the reasons that we rejected in the first place was because we had heritage value. Unfortunately, if that place is demolished, then that argument goes out the window. But the argument that still stands is the fact that the proposed build that was to go on that site was totally out of keeping with the rest of the area and in such a prominent place that it sticks out like a sore thumb. So we had two basic reasons for refusing it. One of them's gone, but the other one in my book still stands.
Yeah, just to come back on that, and also we put about parking as well, because it's such a thin, narrow road, and there's problems parking on that particular road as well, and even on the road that leads to it, there's a big problem parking as well. So it's a double jeopardy on that. Councillor Burns.
Yeah, I was only going to, I saw the 6 month mark. I did actually wonder whether it was literally calendar months or whether it was, 182 days or whatever the figure is, 183 days. But I couldn't get it to work either way. I think there's a valid case about the, and this is, Martin may want to take this up with the planning inspector, is on the basis, I also saw about the fact that you have to be either the applicant or the owner of the property for an appeal to go through. It's unlike a planning application where you can put a planning application in for anything. You know, you could put one in to knock down the art centre, you know, it wouldn't succeed, hopefully, but, you know, you can still do it if you want to. So it'd be worthwhile doing that. The statement of the applicant's appeal documents, I thought was a little bit weak, because they're quite right, as just been said by the chair, is there was virtually all the objections were ignored. Why the original application was rejected. They could have an argument about the non-designated heritage asset not being on a piece of paper that West Suffolk haven't updated since 1997, despite numerous attempts by me to get them to do so. But it is still designated as a very old building. You know, it looks like it's at least 200 years old. And that should count for something in this town, you know, even if somebody has just let it go to rack and ruin. In terms of the parking, the access, the density, they're all valid things. So I don't know what the committee is going to decide. I'm not a member of this committee just to decide about this, but I certainly would be putting, there's no point just putting what you did before. You have to really emphasize it. I've learned that from appeals I've been to, the 2-day one I sat in Clare, where these people, I'm not saying these will, but they bring out very high powered QCs. And all we end up is giving a very lowly planning officers, you know, you wipe the board with them unless you have a very strong case. So it has to be strong from all parties, including West Suffolk. You know, the vote was to not approve the original application. They have a slight history of not being overly strong if they originally were recommending approval. So that needs to be also emphasised to West Suffolk by particularly by members, of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Martin, do you want to come back on that at all?
Well, I appreciate the support that's been sort of given. I did actually write to the planning case officer over the weekend asking for an explanation of the legal position, because I try as I might, I can't access the documents that relate to this particular this appeal. Even if I go to the planning inspectorate portal and register to sort of look at it, all I can basically see is that an appeal was lodged on the 15th of February, and there are some due dates, but I can't actually see the basis upon which or what the appeal has been based. So that's a little frustrating. Certainly from a resident's point of view, most people that originally were against it are still against it, and we are planning to actually write directly to the planning inspectorate and probably put some more information in there in relation to the parking issue, which has actually got worse over the last year. There are more vehicles parked on the main road now than there are on the lane itself. So essentially building 3 more houses is just going to compound that issue to catastrophic levels, frankly. So anything that you can do to help would be greatly appreciated, frankly.
Yeah, that's good information what you just told us. So we will certainly put that down. Thank you, Martin. Councillor Burns.
Martin, I've just put in the chat the link to the application, sorry, the appeal application, which I downloaded all the documents to my server.
Right.
I have the same problem as you do, that invariably they're not available, can't be found easily. So they're there if you want to download them from my website. They are as of yesterday. Just to warn you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right, thank you very much, Martin. Councillor Councillor Brown, sorry.
Yeah, Martin, you may also want to take plenty of photos of the car parking situation, send them in as well. That'd really help you, the case as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's understood. I did actually provide the same photos to the planning case officer some months ago, but unfortunately they were not taken to any of the committee meetings, particularly the planning development committee. I wasn't actually allowed to show any of my photos because the case officer hadn't, put those documents forward.
On that, Colin or Vicky, are we allowed to send photos as a town, as a committee? Or sorry, working party, I should say.
In terms of any comments that we submit to a development control committee meeting?
No, to the answer to this item 6.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to work out what the question is in terms of where you say whether we're allowed to send photographs. Yeah. It depends on for what purpose.
Well, the purpose of, say, for instance, if we want to put in there that the parking situation that we put in our original one has got worse, and we would like.
I'm not aware of any reason that we can't include whatever we wanted to in any submission that we put through, but it has to be in time. I just wonder whether what Mr. Espin is talking about, whether they won't allow you to table photographs or any document at all in the meeting. I think we've all tried that one before and know that it won't work. So I just wonder whether or not if they were given in plenty of time as part of a submission to a committee, I can't see an issue why they wouldn't be allowed. But perhaps it was because they were being tabled at the time. I don't know. Right.
Okay. Because I was thinking that perhaps perhaps Martin, I should say, could send them to the town council, the photos that he takes to help us out, or wouldn't that be submissible?
Because we've got I don't know what are we supposed to do with them?
Well, just because we've got to write to them if we want to. That is, as a planning as a working party. We've got to answer this item 6, and we could just send it as a helpful thing to what we say, if the working party wants to put anything down.
Well, yes, if we want to make an addendum to the comments we've previously submitted, I'd see absolutely no reason why we can't include photographs, and I don't see any reason why they wouldn't allow them to be shown unless they were beyond the cut-off time for submitting stuff to a committee. I don't know whether Mr. Espin can clarify that, is what the circumstances were, because I can't understand why they would refuse to see evidence otherwise.
Martin?
Yeah, so the circumstances were that I was permitted to speak to the development planning committee the last time that this was actually discussed. And I did actually send photographs to the secretary of that particular committee on the basis, just in case I couldn't actually attend the meeting directly myself, and was told that photographs weren't permitted. So that's kind of how it was left. I was just able to speak for 3 minutes and wasn't allowed to illustrate any of the points that I raised by photographs or otherwise. It was just simply I could speak for 3 minutes.
Yeah, there are members of the Development Control Committee present. They could properly explain that one. I can't.
Right. Councillor Dave Smith, because he's a member, and then Councillor Burns.
Yeah, it's quite right. You're only allowed to speak for 3 minutes or have a statement read out. You can't do like any visual presentations. It's just not in the Constitution. I'd just like to propose, if you want to add photos, fine. But I'd just like to propose that we sort of reiterate that our opposition to this and just refer back to the original refusal decision notice and the reason why it was refused in the first place. So that would be my proposal, just to sort of reiterate our stance.
Yeah, but didn't someone say, was it Colin that or was it Councillor Burns? I think it was Councillor Burns said that you got to put something slightly different to the original and not quote the original. Councillor Burns?
based on my experience, my very limited experience of appeals I've been to, it's always better to re-emphasize what you've written previously, but maybe in a different way. And if there is new evidence, you know, such as parking or whatever, by all means attach photographs, you know. And just to follow up on Councillor Smith's thing, for Martin's benefit or anybody's benefit, that matter, is there's absolutely nothing for you to stop you emailing all the members of the Development Control Committee, like the day before, for example, attaching as many photographs, putting links to videos, whatever you like to do. That is outside that 3 minute thing. It gives people time to digest what it is you're trying to say. And it's a very good, I've used it myself, other people, I think we've got one tomorrow. We've just had some photographs for the development control tomorrow morning. By all means do that. I mean, I came across a planning application this afternoon. This is actually being discussed tomorrow, and there were no documents visible on the website. I had to get them shown. So that means all that development control committee, in theory, it should have had a week to look at things. I've actually only had a few hours. So anything, you know, the applicant, you know, whether it's the applicant, objector, whatever it might be, send it off to the members. It gives them all kinds of information, because often depends on the planning officer's view, whether it's, you know, an approval or rejection. And if the member at the meeting starts to think, actually, I don't like this one where the officer's approving, you've got some more information there that you may be able to ask questions on. So, you know, please do that before, at least the day before, if you know, but as much as you like, even if it's just a link to a Google Drive or something like that, you know, whatever. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay. Right. Any person, Anne or Brad or Mike, do you want to speak on anything at all? Mike?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm not sure if I missed the one where I need to speak about other matters which weren't on this tonight's meeting. So I want to refer back to the last meeting you had. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's what this is for. You know, this is anything. It's not for just the planning ones that we're doing tonight. This one is for anything. Yeah, it's fine.
Yes. Unfortunately, we were away for the last planning meeting, and I only caught up with it the other day. There were two properties where plans were in, which are adjacent to where we live, and obviously we were quite interested to see what went on and how things were. You objected to one of the applications, and part of the objections amongst other objections, part of the objections were based on parking and additional traffic on Ansuckling Road. Now, as far as that is concerned, since that matter, of course, there is another development which is ongoing, which is called Boyton Meadows, which is another 37 houses which are exiting onto Ansuckling Road. And we've just learnt recently that Persimmon have been given permission to put their construction traffic down Ansuckling Road. Now, this obviously is very disconcerting. At the moment, Ansuckling Road is an absolute minefield. At the junction with Haverhill Road, from a distance of about 20 metres, I think there's parking all along one side. So whilst you have the width of the road, invariably, if you come around the corner and someone's coming the other way, we've had near misses. Further along, we have traffic lights where there's additional work being done for drainage on Boyton Meadows. We have a series of traffic lights. Past the traffic lights, we then have the other development on one side of the road, invariably there's a queue of probably anywhere between 7 and 10 vans parked most of the day. So access on that road is very difficult. We also have quite a few cement lorries, 20-ton trucks, moving earth, etc. If Persimmon were allowed to open that road up, we would have all the work for 3B, phase 6 would all be going down Unsuffering Road, which is really not acceptable. The reason for this is the fact that we don't have a relief road. The idea was for all this development that the relief road was built, and we have note from Suffolk Highways that the preferred method of entry to these phases would be from the roundabout off the relief road. So with that, yes, I find it very strange that you comment on the traffic on Unsuffering Road based on one property, when in fact, by the time the 3B and 6 are built, we're talking probably another 200 houses, and we still don't know when we're going to get a relief road.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Mike. Anne?
Hello. I think there's two issues coming, but I think Mike's talked about one there tonight. I think it's coming up on your agenda about the play areas and needs and part of the infrastructure. So that is again about Unsuckling Road, where apparently on that plan, it looks like it's been opened as a main access road with no restrictions on it whatsoever. So that's something I'll leave for that bit. But we've also, I mean, Joe kindly put up some information for us, which was that basically Persimmon have asked to use this road for some construction equipment to go along this road to do the clearance and all kinds of stuff. I'm absolutely sure that we were told it would never happen many times, and also Highways said that it's recommended that this shouldn't happen. So I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure Joe might be able to enlarge on this, but I'm completely don't understand this when they're already got access onto there and they're clearing it anyway from the tarmac road they've put in, and they've seem to have access there. So maybe Joe can enlighten us more on this, because we haven't had time to talk about it. But I'm very concerned about this, because at the moment we've been putting up with, I don't mind putting up with things temporarily, but this road is an absolute nightmare at the moment with the mud, the traffic lights, it's already a tricky road. So that's the temporary thing. And later on, we'll talk about the infrastructure plan where actually the link road is not put there. So basically we're now main access road according to that, or we will be. Sorry, thank you. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you very much. Joe? Councillor Mason, sorry.
That's okay, thank you.
Because Anne keeps saying Joe. So.
No, that's all right. It's how I like to be called. I've been called worse things. Okay, so for Relief Road, I've had it confirmed by Persimmon and by the planning team and by Councillor David Roach, who is the portfolio holder for planning, that they are on track to complete the Relief Road by the end of March 2023. One of the posts I put on social media was about clearing some hedges. I'm furious that they've left it so close to the nesting season, and they have assured that there's going to be an ecologist to make sure that no nesting birds are disturbed, and the planning enforcement team are involved and are going to be coming down next week and having a look at some of the different areas. So as far as I'm concerned regarding the Relief Road, they are on track, and the planning team, planning officers at West Suffolk, are satisfied that Persimmon are still on track to deliver by the end of March 2023. But like most things, how long is a piece of string? Let's hope. They are contractually obliged to have done it by March 2023, and so it's going to cause some problems if it's not done. As regards and Suckling Road, I'm astonished I've not had more complaints from residents. I think residents have been phenomenally patient, because I think they've generally understood that there is building works. We've got some private developments as well as some smaller estates going off and Suckling. It's all happening at the same time. And I understand that the traffic lights aren't there for much longer, and I'm desperately hoping that the roads will get cleaned, and I will certainly be pressing once those traffic lights are gone that the road gets cleaned and improved. Regarding access onto 3B, I was very disappointed because I've made it really clear that I didn't want construction traffic using and Suckling at all. But it's not construction traffic, it is plant. And you may choose to think that I'm splitting my hair, and I'm not an apologist for Persimmon. It's not any construction traffic for the construction of anything. It is vehicles that will strip the land, and apparently the only way to sensibly do that is from Suckling. And they've tried to assure me that they're going to try and avoid peak times. They've got support from the planning team at West Suffolk. I think the best we can do is monitor it, and it's not intrusive. And they have said it's going to be for a very limited time. It isn't construction. They haven't got permission to build yet, so it won't be construction plant. It is very much machines that will level and grade the land and basically take the vegetation, all that wonderful natural habitat, away. As regards 3B, there's no intent, and I'm going to really press this, and I will get somewhat louder. There's no intent to use and Suckling for 3B. The internal road that is already there that takes you to the top of 2A, and I encourage everybody to actually have a drive through the estate to as far as that road takes you. It's quite amazing how far you can actually get across the top of the field now. So 2A will be the main entrance route for the construction traffic for phase 6 and 3B when they actually start that. There shouldn't be any need, certainly for 3B, for any construction traffic to be using and Suckling. And I'm going to be asking very clearly that construction traffic isn't going up and down and Suckling, because I don't think it's suitable for the amount of residential area that we've got there. I think that would be excessive. But I hope that answers some questions and gives some clarity. Thank you.
This Mike first, and then Anne.
Yes, as far as the traffic going down and taking large earth-moving vehicles, can I just say that I do have video evidence of the trucks actually going down there before Christmas. So we're not just talking about a short time. They have been doing it continually for the last 2 months. And we're talking about 40-foot trailers with big earth movers and associated plant on the back of them. These are not small items, they are heavy duty. Hang on, just as a, oops, I can just show you. I don't know if that goes on there.
Yeah.
Past our house just in December.
So,
Chair, can I come back on that, please? Do you mind?
Yes, certainly, Councillor Mason.
Okay.
And
Okay, so I don't want to be perceived as an apologist for Persimmon, but one of the things that a developer will do is they will do excavations to see what is under the soil. And in order to do their planning and predictions, they need to know what is under the soil. And so none of that was construction, but it was very much information gathering that Persimmon had to do before they even can submit plans. They need to know what the substratum, how far the different layers are under the ground. The thing that is going ahead, the stripping of the vegetation, That is what I've notified people is imminent. But what I would say, and in support of the Fords who've just spoken there, is the planning team have shown some concern at the quantity of excavations that have taken place on 6B. And next week, the planning team and the planning enforcement team are going down there to actually have a look and exactly make sure that not only that Persimmon aren't doing more than they should be, but they're also fencing it off and making it safe for walkers and for children, because at the moment it's not particularly safe, and I have raised those concerns. Sorry, I'm talking too much. Thank you, Chair.
No, that's fine. Anne and Brad?
Yeah, just saying about that, the thing that Joe was just talking about, the work they've just been doing, and it's absolutely shocking to see the amount of water sitting in the open, exposed area without any fencing whatsoever. This is a continuous problem, Persimmon. This is not the first time we have been dealing with it. We don't know what we're having on our doorstep on a continuous basis. When I look at my house, what we see is I've got a cabinet at the bottom of my garden, and there's a pile of earth higher than that. It's been there for how long? Months, seven, I don't know, since before Christmas. It just continues. It's there all the, well, actually, yeah, probably August or something, whenever they got permission. It's absolutely massive, with cranes sitting on the top and all kinds of stuff. We're putting up with all of this, but we don't have a lot of trust in what they're doing, and we can't see what's on the other side there, or what they're doing on the other side there either. But going back to the stripping, I'm not quite clear about this. Why does the stripping have to happen from here when they've got very clear access from the other side right up to the end of Ansuckling Road? So why do they need to strip from this side? Joe might be able to explain this to me.
I'd like to add a bit to that if I could, and that's if they'd done what they said they were going to do in the first place and put the first part of the relief road in, then we wouldn't be having this conversation, I think. And I'd also like just to add that not only do I not have confidence in Persimmon, I don't have any confidence in West Suffolk Council either. Because whilst Joe said he doesn't want to be an apologist for Persimmon, I just wonder what actually comes out of West Suffolk Council. You can't believe the word that's said, really.
Councillor Mason, I'll let you come back on that.
Chair, sometimes a resident will ask a question, and I think the best thing is I will try and get an explanation from West Suffolk as to why it is so essential that Ansuckling is used. It is on a weird gradient, and but I wouldn't like to guess. I don't actually know why Ansuckling is being used for this plant. The plant that will be stripping land, not construction traffic. It's very much stripping the land of vegetation. So I'm happy to ask that question, and I can bring it back to the committee, but I can also share it with Anne and Brad and people who are interested. Thank you.
Mike, and then Councillor Dave Smith, and then Councillor Brown.
Can I just say that as far as that, the vehicle which picked up that large earth mover, we just happened to see the vehicle go past whilst we were out for a walk. We then saw it parked at the bottom of Ansuckling Road, and we were actually coming up the road. We then observed the driver walking to the top of the hill, virtually up to 2A, to pick up this digger. He then drove the digger all the way down the field to load it on Ansuckling Road. Now, if the digger was up at the top at 2A, why didn't he pick it up from the top? Obviously, it was easier to do it from Ansuckling Road. So obviously, they use that as ease of use rather than actually being a necessity.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for that. Any comments on that, Joe, or taken note of you? Have you taken note?
I'm sending an email to West Suffolk as you speak.
Right.
So I'm going to try and get an answer to that. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Councillor Smith, Dave Smith, and then Councillor Brown.
Yeah, I remember I did ask a question. I was approached by a resident, a friend of mine who lives up that way, about the state of the Ansuckling Road, and I said to Persimmon Traffic, and I was told at a meeting it wasn't actually Persimmon; it's one of the smaller developers that's doing it. So I just want to know: are you absolutely sure that it is Persimmon that these vehicles belong to? No, next point will be. If there is a condition in their planning approval that says that they shouldn't be driving along Ansuckling Road, they can't just be given permission to use Ansuckling Road. They've got to get a variation on their application. So that will then have to go back to the planning department. So I don't see who would have given permission. So that seems a bit strange to me.
Thank you for that. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I think it was Mike mentioned there's quite a lot of development going on down Ansuckling Road. Joe, couldn't you actually mention around cumulative impact? Because with all these different developments, each one may have gone through to say that they won't have that much of an impact, but when you get all these developments going on at the same time, they have a huge cumulative impact. So I think that's something that should be mentioned, and also maybe go for some signs on there to say no persimmon construction traffic, or try just to make people aware that they shouldn't be going down there. Just a thought.
Chair, can I come back on that?
Councillor Mason, yeah.
No, certainly. I'm going to be chasing this and to find out exactly what permissions Persimmon have been given. Of course, if they have been given permissions, then they're perfectly entitled to use those. But I think that there's also no reason why that cannot be challenged. And in terms of cumulative impact, I will type that in. It'll probably take me a couple of goes because of the spell check, but I will certainly add that. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank you very much. Right, thank you. Debbie and Neil, I expect you're going to comment on one of the planning applications, so you can do it then, as it says under item 8. Is that correct? You're muted.
Chair, I think Councillor Burns would like to.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, we probably won't be commenting, but we're just going to listen in what's going on. We have sent some emails out today to inform people of our position.
Yeah.
Because we heard last week's meeting, and I think a lot of people weren't aware of what was going on. So I think now a lot of people are aware of our situation. So we're just going to listening to what you've got to say, really.
Thank you. We have received them emails, by the way, and thank you. It's very informative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Burns?
Yeah, I was just going to follow up what Joe was saying, Councillor Mason. I've been involved with this site for about 13, 14 years now in various discussions, way before I was councillor, poking my nose into things, as you do. I'm very well aware of what the S106 says, because I've argued long and hard at various meetings, including with the Chief Executive. It's not worth the paper it's printed on. Yes, the relief road is supposed to be built within 5 years and within 500 houses, but there's no onus on Persimmon to actually build it at all. If they don't want to, there is a bond of £8.5 million, but even Suffolk County Council don't even have to build it, because it says, effectively it says they should, but not must. It's an extremely weak legal document, drawn up by whoever the lawyers were at that time, and it basically gave the landowners at the time every benefit you could think of. But I would also protect West Suffolk, not West Suffolk, Persimmon a little bit, and I hate to do so, primarily because a lot of delays has been down to councils, particularly arboriculturalists, and also the fact that there were over 400 drawings to approve for the relief road before even a spade could be put in the ground. Last year, it was delayed by 6 months because somebody wanted a tree in a particular position, and that stopped the whole relief road being even started. We expected this relief road to be built about 2 years ago now, It should be built in 1972, but that's another matter. So I'd like to see it built by next March, but don't guarantee it. There are no penalties if they're late, other than the housing side of things. But they can, like they do anything, they started building houses before they got permission. So they do it at their own risk, is what I was told by planning officers. So hopefully we'll get that road done. In terms of the Anne Suckling entrance, it's a very vague area. I personally remember them saying it would never be used as an entrance into the site. All the meetings I went back to in, I don't know, 2010, 11, whatever the figure was, 9 even maybe. And certainly at the master plan stage, it was never mentioned about that, and certainly not at outline stage in about 14, maybe, was it 2014, something like that. That it would do that. And we also, that's when they blocked up the entrance from Howe Road to make sure that wasn't used as a cut through. And even the master plan, you have to, I know master plans are plans, but it's very convenient for planners when they say, oh, it's a master plan, we have to follow it. Like, for example, other places, and other places they say, well, it's only a plan, we can amend it as much as you like. Well, a lot of people spend a lot of time doing those plans. And the original master plan for the whole of the Northwest was everything was going to be fed from that Northern Relief Road or offshoots off it, not from anything from the south. But of course, now that the developers are, who weren't there when the master plan was built up, or the outline, it was all owned by the Vesties and all those people. And I think that's a big problem. Is we've now got developers coming in, speaking to the planners and saying, oh, I want this. And the planners are saying, okay, but those planners were not here 10 years ago when it was all done. All those planners are retired. They're not here. And that's a great shame. We're seeing a little bit on the Great Willsey as well. And certainly other places around West Suffolk. So I think all you can do is just fight your cause and keep fighting. And sometimes it's better to say to them, prove it. Don't, it's not up to you to prove it, it's up to them to prove it. And I would just mention that. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I was last on the what was St Edmundsbury Borough Council from 99 to 2007, and I was involved with that. And people from Anne Suckling Close were very involved because before that plan was drawn up, under the old Gibbet plan, Anne Suckling was going to be the relief road, and they kicked up such a fuss. And that's the reason why this other relief road was going to be built. So yes, you got a very good point in there. And they fought it and done their job. People from Anne Suckling Close. And I don't know if Brad or Mike was involved in that then. Oh right, well, good on you. So you got it moved, but you've got a big fight on your hands now to get them to do that. So it's, good on you. You've really, really fought hard, and it's really, I don't know how you do it, to be honest. It's really unbelievable, what you have to do nowadays. Well, it seems to be a lot harder nowadays than what it was back in 2007 and 99, from 99 to 2007. Right, okay. Right, next, everyone, any more comments at all? No? Right, back to item 6 then, please, for members. The members to consider if it is necessary to modify or add previous comments submitted to 27 Clements Lane standard appeal. Now, how are we going from here? What, Councillor Dave Smith?
Yeah, I thought I made a proposal earlier, but you may have missed that.
Yeah, I might have done, but do it again, please.
Yeah, basically we reiterate the reasons we opposed it previously, drawing on the points that was made in the decision notice. Perhaps, as has been suggested, word it slightly different, so it's not exactly the same, and add any appropriate photographs we may think is necessary. Yeah,
can Martin, I know I've sort of done this, but could you send in photographs to Vicky, please?
Yeah, absolutely, it's not a problem.
Thank you, because you know, there is a change in circumstances as well to what we put with there are more cars and more of a problem. Okay, is there any other comments on this one? No? Right, thank you very much. Right, next.
You need a seconder, Pat.
Sorry, Vicky.
You need a seconder.
Oh, yes, of course. Councillor Stitchcombe seconded it and Councillor Dave Smith proposed it. All those in favour, please show. Yeah, it's everyone. Right, thank you. There's so many people other than councillors, I have to really look round to see who's putting their hand up. Right, okay. Thank you very much for that. Martin, you can stay if you want, but if you don't, then thank you very much and good luck. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
No, thank you very much for your time today. Very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, it's the same with you, Mike, if you want to, and Anne and Brad. Or do you want to stay, Anne?
Well, right, yeah, I think we want to stay because isn't it the next bit about the play areas? Is that on the agenda? Sorry, have I got that wrong? Yeah, because that actually looking at the infrastructure plan, they've actually taking out the link back to the relief road as well as want to talk about the play area. It's actually not there anymore, basically.
Yeah, it is on there.
Yeah, it is, but it's not.
Yeah.
If you listen to Joe, you'll find that they're taking it out, I think. I don't know. Anyway, yes, please, we'll stay. Thank you.
It's item 2 on our agenda.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So you're going to stay, right? Okay, thank you. I can't get back now. Right. Right, this is item 8 to consider planning applications to West Suffolk Council. I will invite members of the public who wish to address the working party in relation to planning application to speak ahead of the working party, considering each application in turn, which is list B. Application 1, which is DC 220078 RM, reserved matters application, submission of details under Outline Planning Permission, DC 152424 OUT, matters reserved by condition 2, appearance, landscaping, layout and scale for the development of Unit 6, formerly Unit 2, of plot NE2 for Class B1, B2 and B8 use. Land adjacent Haverhill Business Park, Bumpstead Road, Haverhill, Suffolk. Is there any comments on this at all? Councillor Burns?
Yeah, well, you only have to see the monstrosity that's going up there at the moment. Unfortunately, it was approved, but nobody really understood how high it was going to be visually. You know, it's a massive thing that you come down Chalkstone Way, and it's going to change the landscape of Haverhill forever. That's primarily because it's on all that mud that a certain developer failed to remove a few years back. Otherwise, it would have been about 4 or 5 meters lower down and wouldn't have been visible. In terms of this particular application, I'm also annoyed, and the planning officer at the time knew this very well. The master plan was all the buildings were such that the loading bays were facing away from the residential properties, facing towards the bypass. They've already allowed this. Now they're going to allow this one. There is a noise assessment, but of course there's nothing happening there at the moment because all the warehouses are currently empty. Once they all start working together, doing 24/7, the noise is going to be big. But it's also not the noise of the people who are living very close by. It's actually the noise, let's say, up my end of the town, where it comes across the valley, up the hill. And I hear it regularly from Kalina, lorries reversing during the middle of the night with their beeping things on the back of them during the summer months, obviously when the windows are open. So I just wish they hadn't once again put all these warehouses, so all the actions are at the rear of the building facing all the residents of Bumstead Road, Ashley Close and all those other places. Probably nothing we could do about it unless you want to comment on it. But again, it's a massive warehouse. Great, it's bringing in jobs. It sounds to me like there's already a tenant for it. I'm not certain who that is at the moment. I have some ideas, but I guess that's commercially confidential at the moment. And some of the others, you know, hopefully will be done. But I'm really concerned about residual noise, because a bit like what Councillor Browner said earlier on, the cumulative impact statement of all those warehouses all working at the same time, 24/7, with lorry movements. We have no lorry park. You know, where are they going to park up, wait to offload and load? Same problem. I was totally ignored on the last application by our planning officers, who were supposed to have spoken to and discussed it in great detail with Braintree District Council. They failed to do so. All they did was put a couple of bins out there so they lorry drivers could throw their waste away of various types. That's what I think about it. But it's a shame the local residents, whether they know about it or not, about this application, I don't know. Especially one of our councillors who lives right next door to it. So I'm a bit surprised they haven't said anything. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Okay, is there any more comments at all? Is there any proposals for this one? Councillor Brown?
Sorry, neutral.
Right, okay. Are you proposing that? Yeah. Okay. Councillor Davison, you seconded it? Yes. Right, okay. All those in favour, please show. Neutral. Okay. Yep, it's carried. Thank you very much. Application 2, which is DC 21 1452 RM, Reserved Matters Application, open bracket, pursuant to Hybrid Planning Permission, SE 091283, close bracket, for sports pitches, together with associated open space, means of enclosure, play equipment, changing rooms facilities, and areas for car parking and cycle parking, and discharge of condition B9 and B10 of outline planning permission in regards to vehicle movements, parking and highway details. This is land northwest of Haverhill and Suckling Lane, Little Ratting Suckling. Mike and Anne, do you want to comment on this particular application?
Yes, thank you. Yes, we thoroughly support the area, and it seems that they have taken on board previous comments about the fact that we don't need marked out sports pitches. And obviously Joe has given us further information about other parts of the development where we have to differentiate between leaps and leaps as to what type of equipment actually goes on there. The only thing I would say, and what does concern me, is the fact that where they have put a location plan of this particular area, they have included all the other road infrastructure. I wouldn't like the fact that because this may well go through, and which we would like it to go through, I wouldn't like them to then say, well, you've accepted the road infrastructure. The road infrastructure we don't accept. That is, you know, we're back into this loop around the school, and we go back to the fact that there's no road in front of the school area, there's no dropping off point, etc., etc. There's so many things wrong with the road infrastructure. As far as the open space is concerned, yes, please, can we please go ahead with that as soon as possible, because the families on those sites actually really need it now. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Anne?
Yeah, just to agree with Mike, having talked to Joe, I know Joe's worked really quite hard to try and get some kind of bus gate from Ansuckling Road. Sorry, Ansuckling Road linking around, but he said that, you know, that they seem to be dead against it, West Suffolk. It's not, there's apparently not going to happen. Now that's not been passed as far as I'm aware. We're still in a position in August when Persimmon put forward 4 models of possible ways of doing that road. One of them, it still had a link back around onto the Relief Road, but they said because they would have to move a little bit of hedge, they weren't going to do that. But if you look at the kind of result of that road not being linked back up, the amount of traffic down this road onto that junction is absolutely ridiculous. We have there's been 300 different, you know, 300 people have actually signed a petition about this. We have put stuff in about this. We've sent things to highways. We've got concerns about the Persimmon build their houses being just 3 meters from the junction, actually just recently built. And also just the amount of traffic that's coming onto a junction, which is not a very good junction, right in the brow of the hill. And once it's there, it's there. And, you know, it means you've just got the flow of traffic from the Relief Road round in a big circle onto Ansuckling Road. All delivery traffic and everything coming from Haverhill will almost definitely just come straight in Ansuckling Road and use that swing around where cars are parked dangerously and all kinds of stuff. It's kind of, ever since we've moved here, it has been pointed out about this road not being a good, you know, that swing on the road and the camber and the junction, and they've actually narrowed that road even more, and they've got Persimmon buildings right in the end. It seems to me they've totally ignored all of the objections made. Highways haven't responded to the letter we sent to them, and I just feel totally frustrated about this, really, that actually it doesn't seem like we have a proper conversation with anyone, apart from Joe trying to speak for us. There's been no proper consideration for this. And as Councillor John Burns said, originally there was no intention that this was ever going to be used as a main access road. And, you know, again, it's just like at every point we feel let down, misled by lots of stuff. And it just seems such a shame, really, because actually once that's in place, it's in place. And it's just completely changed the character. You know, it's just not a good move, really. When all they need to do is put it back, they've managed to take other edges out somewhere else, haven't they? This is a genuine reason why they need to take a hedge out to put a link road back, but no, because that would be spoiling a hedge for Persimmon. But anyway, sorry. I think that when you look at the infrastructure plan that Joe showed us, that's there now, you've got the nips and leaps, and they've got, it's beside that road, isn't it? Is that correct? So that is where a road should be, but in fact, apparently they're not going to be putting it in. They've already decided that, according to Joe, even though it's not being passed or anything, but you know, that's their position. From what I understand from Councillor Joe, I'm sure Joe can explain that more. But I mean, I want to know, is it still called in, that road? Is it still being called in about looking at Ansuckling Road? Is it going to go to development? What's happening about it? We're completely confused about it, really.
Thank you, Anne. Councillor Mason? Oh, I'll come back to you, Brad. Councillor Mason?
No, I'm happy to answer that. I'm happy for Brad to go before me, actually, because there's quite a lot to go on there.
Right, okay, thank you.
My concern is I was looking at some plans earlier when we, were preparing to come to this meeting, and the plans actually show this loop around the school, etc., and call it the new infrastructure plan. Well, actually, that's not approved at all, and it's sort of I can't think of the word, but it's like a slippery slope, isn't it? It's just, we'll present this as if it's already done, and then people gradually get there that it is done. Well, I would actually like to be treated a bit differently to that, and I'm getting fed up. Not just fed up, I'm a bit further than that. And I'm still having a go at West Suffolk Council about this, because I think they're more than contributory in all this.
Thank you, Brad. For Councillor Mason?
Okay. Okay, so first things first, if highways haven't responded, I don't find that a particularly satisfactory result. If residents write a letter, I think the least thing that highways can do is reply. Certainly as county councillor, I'll contact highways and ask what their intention is regarding that letter of concern that residents have submitted. So that was the first thing. The plans for the park, I'm hoping that Persimmon are learning a lesson about community engagement and about how these plans are so much better than what were first submitted. The first set of plans, by comparison, in my opinion, are quite lazy, and what we now have shows a little bit more imagination and consideration for exactly how people are going to be using this shared space. It's not just a green area that offers amenity. My argument from the beginning was about that we should not just have amenity, but also have facility. What are people actually going to be doing on this? And in fairness to Persimmon, they've given us extra benches. I made a big fuss about picnic benches, and which they didn't have to do, and wasn't a reason. But they listened to that, and they've given us some picnic benches there. The play area is a little bit larger. We've got a little bit more play equipment than was initially planned. And having said that, some of the money that was for the supposed changing rooms, I think it was a perfectly reasonable ask to have better facilities. And so for me, the working party, I know it's frustrating for residents that they couldn't take part in that, but the working party that we had to discuss 3B and 6, I think is definitely a way forward. And if Persimmon want to submit plans that don't require such major changes, I would definitely encourage them to continue to work with the Town Council planning working party, because the meeting that we had with Persimmon I thought was very positive, and I thought the discussion were high quality and will surely aid them in producing better first plans. And so I am supportive. I still think there's an objection. I'm not quite sure whether it's Anglian Water, about drainage, or about the type of grass. So I think there's still questions there. But I'm certainly happy, and as residents have said, I'm desperate for it to be done, because we're getting increasing numbers of people up there, and it'll give some of the young people who live on that estate somewhere to go to, because currently there's literally nowhere for young people to go on that estate, and the sooner it's built, the better. And I think that's why this set of planning was separated from the infrastructure plan, was so that we could get going on this, because I think the infrastructure plan is more contentious. I'm still reviewing my position on the infrastructure plan. It's complicated. I'm minded to call it in because I think by the act of calling it in, it brings in high level discussions and thought and ideas, and because there is definite scope for improvements. In fairness to Persimmon, the decision about Ansuckling isn't theirs. When they were given outline planning, this is from county's point of view, not West Suffolk, Suffolk County Council, is the highways have always seen that the development from the master plan, that Ansuckling would be used as an access road. And I know that's an area of contention, and I know some people may say that they've seen designs. And one of the reasons West Suffolk have talked to me about it is there's been quite high-level discussions with highways, and highways are really quite adamant that there have to be a number of different ingresses and egresses from the estate, and you can't count the ones onto the bypass alone. You've got so many houses, and you have to have a certain amount of through roads. I share the concerns of residents. I share the concerns regarding the volume of traffic that goes through. And I can see down the line in maybe 3, 4, 5 years' time, traffic calming measures will have to be introduced on Ansuckling, and whether some sort of roundabout, even whether it's a mini roundabout, may end up having to be requested at the end of Ansuckling to ease the flow of traffic. My main concern is the school run. But this item is very much about the sports pitches, and I think the infrastructure is more problematic. And I think I would encourage residents to keep talking with me. I'll keep asking the questions, and I'll try and formulate a position very, very soon as to why I'm choosing to call that in. As I said, highways seem a little bit unmovable about Anne Suckling being a necessary access link onto the Persimmon site. The good news is at least they've cancelled the idea of it being a through road from Hales Barn Road and from Howe Road. At the top of Howe Road, there will be a bus gate and there'll be no road link onto the Chapel Went estate. And that's definitely a good thing. And, you know, I'm grateful to Persimmon for modifying those plans so it's not a through road. But as an access road, yeah, as I said, highways seem to be a little bit immovable on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Anne and Brad, I see both your hands are up.
So that, yeah, if this is to do with highways, we've asked them in the letter that they need to come and talk to residents about this and see. I don't think they understand the impact this will have on this road until they come out and see it. And if supposedly they were completely with the idea that it has to be opened as a major entrance because of you have to have technically so many roads other than onto a relief road. This, even with a bus gate, it would still be an access road for emergencies and everything else. That's one thing. But the other thing is, even if they did open this, I still believe Persimmon needs to put that link road in. The bit that there's, you know, where they say, oh, we don't need to bother that anymore, because that will change the impact it would have on this road if it was put in. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just, you know, oh, well, we don't need to do that now, so we won't bother. It needs to go in. That was what I was saying. Even if it was open without a bus gate, it still needs to be put in, because we're looking at hundreds of houses here coming down this road onto that appalling junction. Even putting a roundabout at the end, if they ever did it in 4 or 5 years' time when there's been an accident or whatever and all the chaos, it means that it's on the top of a hill. It's not a good position to do anything like that. It's the camber of this road. It's not good. It's a ridiculous thing to do. Sorry, thank you. But
right.
Can I just say about
Yeah, go on then.
Just say about the playground area. Yeah, I would love. I think that's looking a lot better, Joan. Thank you for all that work. Yeah, and apart from disappointed about having the toilets, and I think they've got a very good deal. They've given us a couple of picnic tables instead of having to put toilets in. So I think that we've done them the favour. But yeah, thank you for that work.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something about Anne Suckling Road, because it was designed as a bypass originally, and as soon as it was taken off, the idea of it being a bypass, highways insisted that the end of the road be changed, and they narrowed the end of the road down, taking away the bit of the filter that was there, and so 2 cars can no longer sit abreast of each other at that junction. So now we're back to more and more cars coming along this road, but that's a done deal now, because Persimmon have built houses right on that junction, so it can't be altered back. So the people who live there are just sitting in pollution and noise. I don't know how many. It also gets frustrating having to keep saying this over and over and over again.
I think highways need to come out and talk to us and talk to people in this area, or do something more than a day. But
yeah, I agree, Anne and Brad. They do need to come out highways and have a proper look around that area, and especially during you know, when as they're building, and very quickly, not sort of in months' time, but do it now.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
Right, thanks very much. Okay. Any other comments on this at all? Councillor Brown?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Now that Persimmon, it looks like they're going to save themselves quite a bit of money by not building the toilets, could we make sure and ask them to make sure that they put drainage in those fields, because otherwise they won't be able to be used for 6 months of the year and be useless. You walk over the fields, the playing fields at the back of where I live now, and it absolutely sopping wet, unusable. So it'd be good if Persimmon could spend any money that they've saved on the toilets, put it towards some sort of drainage scheme for those playing fields. It's all clay up there, and the water will just sit on top of there. Otherwise, what's the point of having a playing field that you can only use, in the summer months?
Yeah, and with global warming, we're going to get more and more rain and heavier rain. Very good point, Councillor Brown. Councillor Burns?
Yeah, I didn't know if Councillor Mason still wanted to talk. I saw his hand up. I don't know if that was still legacy or not. But
Yeah, I think that's legacy, isn't it? Oh no, it's not. Councillor Mason.
Okay, I'll come back to you then.
Yeah, just really quickly.
Sorry
and again,
about that.
No, that's quite all right. I do not want to be an apologist for Persimmon in any shape or form. Their responsibility ends at the end of Ansuckling Road, not for junction onto Haverhill Road. In terms of what they are allowed to do, it being an access road isn't very much their decision. And I did want to make that clear. It very much is a master plan issue regarding how highways perceive the need for vehicular access onto the Persimmon site. Persimmon wanting to link onto it, they're perfectly entitled to put those plans forward within the scope of the master plan in which they purchase for land. So very much it is an issue with highways and not Persimmon on the use of Ansuckling Road. I just wanted to make that distinction. Thank you.
Do you want to come back on that, Anne? What Councillor Mason said?
Yes, please, just quickly.
Okay.
So I'll be very quick because I've taken a lot of your time. Very, if that's the case, highways need to come and talk to people, not just to go out quietly and maybe choose a time where it's quiet and look at what's going on. They need to talk to people, somehow engage with people on this road that know it. That's the first thing. Secondly, even if it's not Persimmon's responsibility for Ansuckling Road, they still should be putting in that link back, because the weight of the traffic coming down there onto Ansuckling Road otherwise is just too much. So it's a joint, as far as I'm concerned, it's a joint responsibility. I think Persimmon need to do that. They want that estate to work well for the people on that estate as well as for us. They need to put in. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Burns, and then
I well remember when that road was narrowed deliberately, because as has been said, the relief road was moved that much further north. That relief road was built up there for a specific purpose, which was to gain access to that estate. It was all part of the not only the master plan, but it all went back to post Gibbard. Back in the 80s and 90s. When I first moved here, I always remember, them talking about moving it and making the bypass the entrance into it with offshoots. So I think I like the new sports thing. I agree. I think it looks great. I do notice there was a holding objection from the Floods Authority at the moment regarding drainage in and around the sports pitches. So hopefully they'll resolve that on about 3 or 4 items, I think it was. And highways, it's interesting about highways, because I talk to the highways guys from Great Willesey quite regularly from Suffolk County Council, and he's honest with us. Whether it's the same highways engineer, I don't know, but again, Councillor Brown was right about the cumulative impact. It's not only the cumulative impact of all those developments, it's also a cumulative impact of what's going to happen from Great Willesey. Because once that starts moving, yes, people will go around the relief road, but a lot of people are going to be driving into town because they don't want to go to Cambridge. They might be wanting to go to Stansted or I don't know, across country, whatever it might be. And we all know getting out of Ansuckling at the moment, I can see what would happen. Highways would insist that it's a left turn only, and you have to go all the way around the roundabout to come back down again. That would be their solution. That's the easy solution that highways love to do. is how do you resolve a big problem like this? But I think, I think definitely Councillor Mason, I've lost him again, his picture's gone off, needs to get I think they need to get highways down here and understand what is going on, not just this bit, but the whole thing. We've already had the saga of the is it Beavis Close, which was never in the master plan, coming out onto Ratting Road already. That was never there. It was only there because they managed to cut the hedge down, and then all of a sudden it's, oh, well, we'll do this instead. And I don't know what the solution to it is, other than literally standing across Anne Suckling Road at that junction with banners or something. The bus gate side of things I don't have a major problem with, but equally, and also if you look at the master plan drawings, there was a link in there, but it was really primarily to service the houses that were going to be built along that area rather than a massive road. You know what it's like at the junction of Anne Suckling Way with cars parked all the time there. That would most definitely have to become W aligned. So where would all those people park? Because once again, parking standards are worse than useless and don't give enough parking for houses. I don't know how you can resolve this. I think you might have to go historical on this and say, well, do a freedom of information request perhaps to West Suffolk as it is now, and say, send me all the documents you've got on this development since the Gibbard plan of 1972 and see how they get worried about that, because I know they won't find them, because I've been looking for things in the record office that they just dumped there. So that may be an answer, get them wound up a bit, but that's me talking. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Mike?
Yes, I always thought that planning was about solving problems before they occur. Now, if Persimmon, and I'm not entirely blaming Persimmon, because yes, we go back to Suffolk Council saying, yes, you can do this. If they perceived that this was going to be an access road, before they'd even done phase 1, they should have considered putting a roundabout at the end of Anne Suckling Road. They had the space, they had the means, but no, Persimmon then tried to squeeze as many houses into that piece of land, and then they obviously narrowed the junction. As far as traffic calming measures, even before this, we've asked for traffic calming measures coming round that corner. We've asked for the yellow lines to be extended. We've been told that because of the class of road that it is, and because it is an estate road, they cannot put further yellow lines in. Now, I stand to be corrected on that, but that was the information that I've been given. So we have a problem now, and then we're going to now put probably somewhere in the region of another 300 houses, 600 cars, plus deliveries, etc., all going along that road. Obviously with the county council, and people, they will say, well, give us the proof. Well, we can't foresee the future. We are not the experts on traffic. They should have models of how many houses are going in, what would be the number of cars going past that junction. With them taking out the road in front of the school, they're now making it not to be able to use the relief road. People coming off 6, then they're not going to go. They're not going to go all round that road to get to the roundabout, to go around the relief road to the next roundabout to go into Haverhill. They're all going to come along Anne Suckling Road. This wasn't how it was meant to be. If it was a case of, yes, there's a poor right turn at Anne Suckling Road, if I went straight up to the roundabout, turned right around the roundabout, another roundabout into town, it makes sense because it's the quicker way. But if you haven't got that road through and you're having to go a long way around, no, there's You know, they've got to look at what is considered. How would they do it? You know, how would I go from one of those houses into town? And no, I'm not going to go around the relief road. I'm going to take the shortcut. Yes, you know, why should we be talking about doing something and then in 3 or 4 years' time putting in traffic calming measures because of the problem we've already created? We should solve the problem now, and we won't have to put traffic calming in later. Thank you.
So really, you're asking of the 106 agreement that Suffolk County Council get. Ask them to use some of that. Maybe.
Well, the thing is, we don't want traffic. We don't, as such, really want traffic calming. We want the planning to be such that the best way of doing something is to use the relief road, because at the moment, at peak times, there's a queue of cars at the end of Anne Suckling Road trying to get out onto the Ratting Road. You know, it's very difficult. It's been compounded by the fact that they've built houses within, 2 meters of the road. Those people who are living in those houses never envisaged that they could have upward of, I don't know how many cars an hour, 600 cars a day going past there. You know, that they didn't sign up to that. Unfortunately, perhaps their solicitors, when they were looking at it, didn't realise that further development was going on down the road.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Thanks for that. Right, Vicky, I think it comes under the vehicle movement part of this application. You know, I think they've emphasised, Anne and Mike, about the road where people are using Anne Suckling lane for the movement of cars from that new estate, the Simon Holmes estate. And obviously there should be another link road around there. Mike, you want to come back?
Yes, sorry. When they said that they were going to split the playing area from the infrastructure area, I took them at their word. The playing area, we would like to go ahead as exactly as it is. And what our concern with this is that they've fudged the issue by putting the road infrastructure in as well. If they took that out and just said, fine, we'll do the play area, absolutely fine. Please go and do it. Start next week. But I'm looking at that infrastructure plan and I'm thinking, you know, this is how it's going to continue. Is this a way of, well, you've passed this part of it because of, that's on the infrastructure. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're right. We've got to object to all of it because they've put that on. I'm afraid. So, we can't say, yes, we agree with, well, I suppose we could in our comment say we agree with that part, but not with the infrastructure. We can't sort of, unless I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but we can't say, no, you need to separate it before we approve it, Colin, on that. We have to take it as a whole, don't we?
You have to take the application in front of you. Obviously, this application is for the open space, and I think Mr. Ford has made the point that, I think councillors would agree that there's not an issue with the open space, but the drawing the location plan is showing a different road layout, which hasn't been approved, and we have strong objections to, and I would say that if in responding we say our objection is based on the use of this location plan, and if that is incidental to the planning for the open space, then so be it. But the design and access statement document for this planning application of the open space shows a different road layout. I think it would show the road layout that residents and ourselves were anticipating being used. It does absolutely no harm whatsoever for us to object on those grounds, because it's very easy for Persimmon to simply withdraw drawing 039E SK55 and submit a amended drawing showing the approved road layout from the master plan and not what they've drawn now, because I'm looking at the location plan and I'm looking at the very large roundabout with what is described as the spine road. It doesn't go anywhere now. If you showed anybody a map, anybody from primary school upwards, this map, and said, where's the main spine road goes through the estate, their fingers would go straight down Anne Suckling Road. So I think, yes, it's actually quite incidental to this planning application, but that's not our fault. We didn't submit this map, they did, and I think we should act on what's before the committee.
Okay. Right, thank you for that, Colin. Okay, you got that, Vicky? Yeah, that's a very important point. Okay, right. Can I have a? Does anyone? Councillor Burns, did you put your hand up? No, right. Oh, Councillor Brown, sorry.
Yeah, could we just make sure that those comments I made about the drainage are in there as well for the playing field? Yeah, don't just give them a blank check to say, yeah, we're happy with them. They are good, but with drainage would be better.
Right. I want a proposal for that, and obviously what Anne and Mike's put and what Colin said as well. You know, there's them very important points about.
I think Colin encapsulated what everyone has said. So yeah, that's what we really need to do.
Yeah, very much so. So I need a proposer for that, please. Councillor Brown.
Yeah.
Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Liz Smith. All those in favour, please show. Right. Yep, that's carried. Right, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Anne, and thank you, Debbie and Neil as well for attending. Right, the next item on the agenda is matters to report. Is there any matters to report? Councillor Burns?
You don't have to document this, Vicky, but just for information more than anything. During the windy weather, the hoardings around the old Vixen pub kept falling down. But I have to say the owners were there within a few hours fixing them again, because we were starting to get kids getting in there, of course. Unfortunately, they're still not talking to planners about what they're planning to do with the building. Unfortunately, because planning has told them they've actually started the development, it could be for several years before anything actually happens there. And I still haven't heard what we're doing from an enforcement point of view, which is a laughable subject at the best of times with West Suffolk, regarding the footpath at Lidl's, which is in the wrong place, which they've been told is in the wrong place. They put an application and we refused it. And it's still not been rectified, and you can report on that, Vicky, if you want to. Thank you.
Yeah, that should be reported on, definitely. Because that's ridiculous, isn't it? Councillor Smith and then Councillor Brown.
Yeah, last week we spoke about the plans for the expansion of High Point, obviously because there is an impact on our residents and the local infrastructure that we were concerned about. I have heard at work that the message is going out that it's been approved, and I think I'm a little bit confused around the process, because it's a government property, and I got the impression from what Dave was telling me that it was state. The Secretary of State approves it because it is a government property and it's a government plan, so to speak, and that we are only consultees as West Suffolk
council, district council, just the same as the town council is a consultee. I don't know if anyone can clear that up with me, but I think it's all around the legalities of it being basically a government development. Thank you.
Any Councillor Burns?
Only that it's shown on the portal as still pending consideration. I think it is a West Suffolk. The Secretary of State has to call it in formally if he wants to make a decision on it. And I'm not believing that they've done that. I'm just having a quick check. If you just bear with us, let me just check the very latest documents. No, the last comments on there are the town councils. So it says pending consideration. So I don't think it's been, at the moment, it should be still going through the process. And I'm not even certain that I may be wrong, but I'm just, bear with me, because I'm just wondering what the
Okay, Vicky.
dates are. Important dates, here we go. Determination deadline is the 21st of March. So the consultation expiry date was beginning of February, in theory.
Okay, thank you. I mean, that clarifies a little bit. I think it's just, you know, probably it's the fact that the government have approved the plans from their end of things, and it's obviously going through the process of planning at the moment. Thank you.
Vicky?
I was just going to say that they're still consulting the parish councils, surrounding parish councils, and they've not met yet, so it's still in consultation.
Thank you.
They're having a meeting soon. I think I can forward that to you, Liz. There's a meeting taking place.
Thanks, that's interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's been organised by
that's
been organised by Councillor Nick Clark and Peter Stevens. Yeah, so I can't remember if it was last weekend or it's a Saturday coming up or something like that. But just to go back to Councillor Burns' other point about the enforcement for the pavement or pathway at Liddell's, is there enforcement time limited at all, John, on that? If they don't do anything for so many years?
10 years.
10 years, all right.
But if I can just add, is we keep going on about this development control. We've got development control tomorrow. There's still no enforcement meeting about it. We've lost that report that we used to have about 5 or 6 years ago, telling us when they were, you know, when each job, if you like, was activated. We keep going on to Rachel Armand about it. I don't know how much more we can do. They just seem to ignore us. Even as a town council, there's no point writing as a town council because it's even West Suffolk councillors can't get anything done.
I did bring this up at the last scrutiny meeting about trying to bring enforcement. Yeah, but they said, oh, it's something that's looked at by Performance and Audit Scrutiny Committee, and they're the ones that regularly look at the enforcement. And apparently they looked at them a year or so ago. So somewhere in the documents there should be some figures around enforcement. Yeah, that's what I was told.
I think that's licensing enforcement, not planning enforcement.
No, I did say planning enforcement, and they did say planning enforcement is looked at Performance and Audit Scrutiny.
Well, there's nothing to stop you having it at ONS. They're a completely different committee.
Exactly, but that's what they said. It's already been scrutinised at one committee. It'd be a waste of resources to look at it at two, but I'm just passing on the message that I was told, John.
Okay, I'll bring that up tomorrow to development control.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Right, thank you very much. Right, okay, next item is item 10, which is the date of the next meeting, which is Monday, the 21st of March. This is Monday, don't forget, the next meeting. And is it still 7:15, Vicky? Liz? Is it still 7:15?
Yeah, for the next couple of weeks at least, I think, and maybe even longer because I've got more training, unfortunately. Sorry. Okay. Thank you.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, if I could just interject, then the diary needs changing, Vicky, because it says 7 o'clock.
Okay. Thanks for that, Councillor Burns. Okay, and thank you, everyone. It's been a very informative meeting and very interesting. And thank you all for attending, and I'll see you on the 21st. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Vicky. Can you close it, please, Colin?